When my people have questions, I have an answer. I got a message from someone earlier this week from someone who purchased the CVS Weekly Toolkit, and she asked for a tutorial. And I thought, yes, because not everyone is a learner by just reading. So I figured we needed to make a video. So that's what you're getting today. You're getting a tutorial on the Weekly Toolkit, and we're using it live and in action. So if you purchased a toolkit or if you wanted to see it in action, this is the video for you. We're going to walk through tab by tab. I'm going to show you my exact process, how I actually work with the toolkit every single week when I'm planning my trips to CVS, and you can also use it for other stores as well. Once you make your purchase either in the Stand Store or on the link tree, you will be able to access the files needed for your weekly CVS toolkit and your transaction builder, and they'll come in a Google Doc like this, and you will simply access the files from here. Once you get into the Google Sheet, simply make a copy so that you can reuse this document from week to week. When you open the toolkit, the first tab is your roadmap. It lays out the 4 tabs you're working with. You have your Thursday preview, your Sunday planner, your stockpile tracker, and the separate file that's on the Google Sheet from before that comes with this entire purchase is called your transaction builder. On this roadmap, you will also see a section where it breaks down the deals that you will see from week to week. We have spin deals, buy deals, BOGOs, and of course, no promotions. I'll explain each of these as we hit them. Okay, so Thursday, this is where your week starts. When the new CVS ad drops, you will open this tab and you'll simply just scan through the ad. Here's the thing here, you're not going to add any prices just yet. Thursday is just about logging what's actually in the ad that your household uses. So all you're doing is simply checking the ad and adding those items that are applicable to your household or items that you plan to purchase. So for each item, I fill in the item name, the category, the deal type. I decide then, is it a spin deal, a buy deal, or a BOGO, or nothing? Then the promotion name or description. What extra care buck deal is attached? And then I mark yes or no, whether I'm going to add it to the Sunday list. Another quick tip here. If you group items that share the same promotion name, like we have a spend 25, get 8, or a spend 30, get 10, you can immediately see which items are working together toward the same deal. So that's just a quick pro tip that I have for you. You can also manipulate this in any way you see fit, because like I said, once you purchase it, it's yours. Well, after you make a copy, it's yours. Here you'll see me just add in the information applicable to this section. We are going to work with 3 of the current deals that are running in this week's ad from July the 5th through July the 11th. We're going to add in the Dove Women's Body Wash, the 20-ounce size. They are $7.99 this week. We're also going to add in the Degree deodorant. They are buy one, get one 50% off. And when you buy 2, you get $3 in extra care bucks. And then lastly, we're going to add in the oral care deal. We're going to do the Crest 3D White. When you buy 2, you get $4 in extra care bucks. And they're $3.99 this week. And we're also going to add in the Colgate Optic White. When you buy 2, you get a $4 extra care buck this week. And they are also $3.99. So again, we're just going to add all the information in. You can add as much information here as you would like. I always just try to keep on the forefront of like things that I'm actually using. I'm actually saving or stockpiling things for my household. So I won't put every single promotion in this section. Once I do the ad preview, I actually go in and select those items that are applicable to my home and the items that I plan to purchase. And those are the particular deals that I add in during this Thursday preview tab section. And so once you have all of your deals and promotions put in, you will be ready to proceed to the Sunday planner tab. The Sunday planner tab is where it gets real. Before we get into this sheet, On Saturday evening, I want to add that I will go in and make sure that I've clipped every single coupon that is in my extra care account before Sunday actually hits, because at 12 midnight, they take those coupons away. So I make sure that I go ahead and clip everything that I need to clip for my extra care account. And then I also go in and I add those items to my cart that I plan to purchase. And this is just what I do. I call this my pre-gaming. And so I go in and add every single item that I plan to purchase in the upcoming ad cycle, and I keep it in my cart for Sunday. And this way I know exactly what's going to work before I even go into the store. And by adding it, that helps me kind of just make sure that my toolkit is doing exactly what it should do. So Sunday morning, I open this tab, and the first thing at the top I fill in is the CVS week, my trip date, my starting extra care bucks if I'm starting with any, and also I put in my budget. Then section 1 is the promotion tracker. This is where I log every extra care buck promotion from the ad, and I also add other things as well. Here I'm just going to continue to add in the deals that we put in on our Thursday planner. We had the Dove Women's Body Wash, the Degree Deodorant. We have the buy one, get one 50% off on that with the buy two, get three. And I'm also going to mark whether or not I'm getting extra care bucks back. Then I'm going to do the Colgate and the Crest 3D here as well. They were both on a buy two, get four. And so I'll put those in and then add in the extra care bucks that we're going to be earning. There is a section here that says, did I meet the requirement? I typically don't fill that part in until I am actually done with my section 2. I will go back and add yes or no to that particular section, and that will complete section 1 once I do that. You can add, I believe, up to maybe 8 promotions here, but I keep it somewhere around maybe 6 or 7 when I'm actually doing it myself. Section 2 is the coupon match area. This is where you're actually going to have like your real math happening. You're going to put in the item that you plan to purchase. So you're going to get real specific here. You're going to put in the item that you plan to purchase, the quantity. You're going to put the sale price. And then if you have any CRTs, you can put that in the CRT coupon column. And then also add your manufacturer coupons. And then it's going to calculate your out-of-pocket on the very last column. Well, on the second to the last column. And then after each item, it's going to give you a savings amount. So on the Dove, we're saving about 31% before we even start doing the extra care bucks rolling method. It's going to be doing your quantities and your items and sale prices minus your coupons there. Now, for a BOGO deal, I like to keep those 2 items separate. So here you see me put in Degree Deodorant 1 and Degree Deodorant 2. I put in the actual full price of the first one, and then I do half price for the second one. And I've added the coupon to the first one because that's the one that's full price. And then on the Crest 3D White, we have to get 2 of those. So I'm going to put the quantity at 2 and the price at $3.99. And then add in the manufacturer coupon. This week we got a $2 manufacturer coupon here. And then on the Colgate, I'm going to add that information in. We're going to get 2 of those. They're $3.99. And then we'll add in the $3 manufacturer coupon. Once I've got everything logged here, it's time for me to switch over to the transaction builder. But before we go, you're going to see your running totals at the bottom. Section 3 is something that you can fill in after the fact. And then section 4 is typically what I like to do because I am doing content as well, but I just threw that in there because I don't know who else is. But that's what you're going to do with those sections. And now it's time to head over to the transaction builder. To access your transaction builder, you're going to go back to your Google document. You're going to click on the transaction builder Google Sheet. And once you get into the transaction Google Sheet, you're going to also click make a copy because, again, you can use this repeatedly. So now that we're in the transaction builder file, here you're going to have the same thing like we had in the beginning of the weekly toolkit. You have the instructions on how to use it, step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on and so forth. It's going to give you some general definitions about the columns and how to kind of navigate through those. So that's all for your personal use. You could just read through those. And if you have questions, you can use that as your reference sheet. So that's kind of why I put that in there. So you can use it as a reference tool. So again, this transaction builder file is your companion file that comes with your toolkit. This is where your extra care buck rolling method is actually going to happen. Again, at the very beginning of this, you're going to put in your same trip info, your week, your date, your budget, your starting extra care bucks. All of that will go across the top. And then you have space for 8 separate transactions. Because at CVS, you want to break your shopping into multiple smaller transactions and not a big one. That's how you're going to see the biggest impact when you roll your extra care bucks forward. So for each transaction, I list my deal or the promo and also what extra care bucks I'm going to earn. Then I'm going to add in my items with the sale prices and the coupons, and then the out-of-pocket is going to automatically populate. Here's a pro tip for you when using this transaction builder. I typically have my section 2 for my toolkit and my transaction builder up at the same time. And so I've got like a split screen going on. I've got half the screen with my toolkit and the other half my transaction builder, because that's how I'm going to start my transactions, by taking that information from section 2 and adding it over into the transaction builder. Your second pro tip is when you're deciding on how to structure your transactions, my method is that I typically start with the lowest out of pocket that I can get, and then also the item that's going to give me some extra care bucks back. And that's because you want to kick off the rolling extra care buck train. So that is why we chose the degree deodorant as our first transaction, because our out of pocket was only $5.69. And then we're going to put the Crest and Colgate. We're going to put that in transaction 2 because we're actually going to be able to get more for our out of pocket. For our extra care bucks with transaction 2. So we're going to be getting $4 for the Crest 3D White and then $4 for the Colgate. And so in all, that's going to be 8 extra care bucks coming back from transaction 2. So here's the important part when you're rolling extra care bucks. When you're rolling the extra care bucks on your transaction builder, make sure you're putting in the extra care bucks that you're actually going to be getting back, and you're putting that into your next transaction. So here I've got my Crest 3D White and I've got my Colgate Optic White plugged in. And you can see the transaction building. Oh, I want to add one more thing. The reason why I put the degree deodorant as 2 separate ones is the same reason from section 2, from the toolkit. So here you see that our out-of-pocket cost is going to be $7.96 for the Colgate and Crest, but we're getting those $8 in extra care bucks back. And here's your last pro tip. Probably not, but here's a pro tip for you. My last transaction that I'm going to do is typically going to be one that I'm not getting extra care bucks on. And so it's something probably that I want. I typically do like a EOS lotion or something that I need, or my e.l.f. products, because we never get deals on e.l.f. Or just like this week, we're not getting any extra care bucks back on the Dove. So Dove is going to be my last transaction here. I'm going to put in, we have no extra care bucks. We have the coupon put in. So my out of pocket is $10.98 until I roll those extra care bucks in, and it breaks it down to $2.98. At the very bottom of the transaction builder, you're going to see where it's going to keep a tally of your total retail, your total net cost for coupons, and then your total saved, percent saved, and whether or not you met your goal. I put the goal at 65%, I believe it is. No, 60%. And so whenever you hit 60%, to me, you're doing great. So that's my goal every single week, is to get 60% or better on my savings. And that's it, you guys. You can add in any notes if you like at the bottom, but this is your toolkit. So that's the full system. Our process is Thursday, we scan the ad. Saturday, we start to plug in information, add in the coupons that we already have, anticipate the ones that are coming. And then Sunday, we finish putting it all together. You go in, add your coupons that you're getting added to your extra care account, and build your transactions to fit your family and their needs. That's what we call couponing with purpose. If you've got the toolkit, I hope this cleared some things up. If you don't have your toolkit yet, go ahead and click the link so you can get yours today. Happy couponing, y'all. Bye.